we're probably the biggest gold anomaly in the region other than the Yaouré mine site.
Well, welcome, Edward, to Minestock Talk. It's a pleasure to talk to you about the company and the progress it's been making. Kobo looks really interesting to us, and we've been buying the stock for the last couple of months, and we're pretty excited about it. So possibly you could tell our viewers a little about yourself and a little bit about the company.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having me today, and welcome everyone. Kobo Resources was started by myself about the project itself about 12 years ago, the company itself maybe 8 years or so ago. I'm an attorney by profession, have been for the last 40 years, but I've been in business for the last 20. This project came about through an attorney-client relationship, morphed into me being involved in spearheading this project and getting everybody on board up to date, raising the capital and so on. So that's how Kobo came about. The company, like I mentioned, is basically 8 or 9 years old, was private all the way up until March 2023. That's when we completed an RTO. At that time, we raised $4.7 million, had previously raised about 4.5 through high net worth individuals and friends. Raised another 1.3 for following the exercise of warrants in the summer of 23. We just completed this summer $7.4 million financing. That was initially targeted for 5, so we were oversubscribed by nearly 50%. We were quite happy about that. And we brought in as well a strategic partner during the course of that capital raise, of which we are extremely happy to have on board.
Wow, that sounds exciting. Obviously, you got lots of cash to go forward into the various programs. Maybe we could tell the viewers, though, a little bit about the area you're in. It is the Ivory Coast, West Africa. I know it's pretty exciting. Can't wait to see it myself. But the project, the big one, you have the 𝘂𝗁𝗏, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, that's right. So we're strictly in 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗏, and we recognize that way back in 2014 that there was an opportunity, a kind of a disconnect with, I would say, the Birimian formation that is hosted primarily in 𝘂𝗶𝗏 for all of West Africa. 35% of that print is there, that footprint. So we saw a disconnect. It was underexplored and with huge upside in terms of potential discoveries. Our main project is the 𝘂𝗁𝗏 project, which is 35 kilometers northwest of the capital of Yamoussoukro. That's in the center of the city, of the country, that is. So when you fly into the main economic hub, which is Abidjan, and you drive up 2.5, 3 hours on a highway which resembles the 401, if you wish, in terms of quality, if I may describe it. So the 𝘂𝗁𝗏 project itself is 110 square kilometers. The infrastructure is fabulous, fantastic in the sense that we have access from the east, access from the west. We have no money to invest in order to get access to. And we're next door to a power dam. So if ever there was a mill to be built, we would have access to the power. We are also extremely close to an existing mine, the Yaouré mine site. We're 9 kilometers away, which is operated by Perseus Mining of Australia. So yeah, this project is to be considered in the field as a brownfield project, not a greenfield. We're basically 9 kilometers away from a headframe. So this is a fantastic project in terms of investment, in terms of opportunity, as well as potential, because we're probably the biggest gold anomaly in the region other than the Yaouré mine site.
And you're that close to their mine site. So the 𝘂𝗁𝗏, that's the 𝘂𝗁𝗏 project, which makes up an important component for the company at this point. And do you have 100% control of it?
Yes, we do. Right from the get-go, this was an area that was initially allocated for semi-industrial permits. So these types of permits, individuals or companies which have to be owned 51% by Ivorian companies, or individuals. They're limited to 100 hectares and 30 meters in terms of depth of operation. So it's like an alluvial, a heavy industrial alluvial play, if you wish. So that whole package area where we are today was dedicated to that. And we were way back in 2015, the first ones to be awarded these types of permits under the new code which was enacted in 2014. So when we did our first preliminary exploration, we made a couple of discoveries. So we sat down with the government and we, over a period of 6 months, convinced them to change the allocation of the area from small mining to a large permit. And we were successful in doing that. We applied for the permit in the fall of 2016 and it was awarded to us in 2019. So this is pristine ground, never before explored, and we own 100% of it through our subsidiary.
Fantastic. And yet it's that close to an operational mine that I suppose has a mill that might one day need some more property.
Absolutely. They have approximately 2 million ounce resource. They're mining right now on average 275,000 ounces a year. By the year 2029, they should start running low on their ore. So they've recently made a discovery to about 500,000 ounces to have an underground mine. They've applied for it, the permitting. I'm sure that they will raise their hands up and say, look, we'd like to have access to that in order to bump up our production. And by the way, Perseus has $1 billion in cash right now, no debt. They're doing very well. So I would assume that, going down the line, they would want to keep that pace of production for the years to come, make a lot of money.
Yeah, it sounds like they're positioned quite well. And of course, if you're their neighbor with what will become a resource, I guess they will be pretty interested in looking at it. So what is the exploration strategy for Kobo at this time?
But right now we're pursuing on the back end of what we did way back in 2022 or 23, which was initially the geochem program, and then a lot of trenching. And that worked very well for us. So it was a cheap way to do exploration because every time the geochem gave us results, we trenched it, we saw it on surface. So that was fantastic for us. We started out with an RC drill program last July in 23. We did about 6,000 meters in less than 34 days. That was a great turnaround, and we had some good results. So that prompted us to look at the data, analyze, devise a strategy to raise more capital and set upon a diamond drill program. So we initiated our first diamond drill program in the spring of 24. And at the same time we were doing that, we started doing some presentations to raise capital. And by the end of the summer, we had raised almost $7.5 million. So right now, we've started a 10,000 meter drill program early September. We've already got 3,000 meters completed under our belt, and we intend to complete that program, I would say, by mid-January. We have one drill now. The second drill should be coming on board 2 to 3 weeks from now, once our base camp is up and running. Because we've been setting up a base camp in order to move our people on site. We should be doubling our production in terms of drilling by the end of this month.
Edward, you had mentioned the 10,000 meter drilling program that's been going on, and I read somewhere it's part of the zone's called the Jagger Zone. Maybe you could just tell the viewers a little bit about that and how far along you are. I think you said something about 3,000 meters.
That's right, Kevin. We initiated the 10,000 meter program back in September, 3,000 done right now. We're concentrated on the Jagger Zone. We have 3 main zones of interest, the Road Cut Zone, Jagger, as well as 𝗂𝗏. We've identified a fourth one that we're not going to touch right away, but we'll be doing in the course of this program, doing a couple of holes. But mainly right now, we're concentrated on the Jagger. The results that we've published so far in the press releases that you have seen on October 3rd and 29th were holes from holes 26 to 30. So when you look at the maps, we're in sections 650, 600, and 500, and so on. So we're drilling under. We're drilling fences, so we're drilling under the holes that we previously drilled earlier this spring and last year using the 𝘂𝗰𝗃. What we're doing now is drilling at a much deeper depth that we did initially, and we're finding mineralization at depths of 200 and even 300 meters, which is very interesting for us. So we're quite ecstatic with the results so far. We're finding more shear zones, even at depths that we had not thought that were there. We're quite excited by it, and we're lucky to have on board as well the exploration manager that conducted all the drilling at 𝗂𝗄𝗃. He oversaw over 160,000 meters of drilling on that site, and we've also have on board as a consultant the structuralist had worked for almost 7 years at 𝗂𝗄𝗃, overseeing the structure. So these guys have come on board with us, and they see the same mineral type of mineralization geology as they saw at 𝗂𝗄𝗃. So we're looking good.
So that would suggest from your other point you made earlier that there's lots of cash on hand and the resources that are looking good, and the geologists believe much in it. So if the project 10,000 meter drilling program is completed by what time do you think, and how long will it take to get an assay result back from that?
Okay, so the program itself, we believe, will be completed by mid-January when we add on the second drill later on this month. So we're doing 60 meters of drilling per 24-hour shift right now. So adding a second drill will hopefully bring us to 120. We're doing on average 15 to 1,700 meters per month right now. So basically 3,000, close to 3,000 meters a month. In terms of assaying, we're fortunate enough to have several labs next door in the Yamoussoukro vicinity. There are at least 3, if not 4 different labs, but we're using SGS, and our turnaround time is anywhere between 96 to 120 hours maximum from the time we deposit the samples. So it's fabulous. It allows us to get results quickly. Also positions us in order to make quick decisions for a turnaround, whether we should continue drilling or explore more a certain area, or even abandon an area which we could feel that is dead and not highly beneficial for us to continue in spending our dollars there. So all in all, I mean, the conditions are fantastic. Our drilling costs are extremely low for that part of the world. When you look at it all inclusive, and when I mean all inclusive, I mean the driller, the fuel, the assay costs, the bulldozer, the excavators, the drill pad preparations, and our staff, that's $225 Canadian per meter. The money we have in the bank, we raised 7.5. This program, 10,000, is going to cost us approximately 2.5 to 2.75. We'll have plenty of money left in the bank to continue if we want to expand this drill program. But the idea for us is to, once we finish that 10,000 meter program, we want to assess the situation. What's the next step? How much money do we need in order to do the next step? When you look at our presentation on the website, we do have a catalyst that we've put there, and we expect, subject to the mineralization being to the rendezvous, we expect to do 50 to 60,000 meters of drilling next year to bring us at the end of 2025 or early 26 to hopefully have an inferred resource. So that would play well in terms of timing. When I was talking earlier about decrease in production at 𝗂𝗄𝗃, it would play well in terms of timing and preparation of possibly having an exit strategy. For us to be successful, we don't have to end up with 1 million plus ounces. 500,000 ounces is success because we don't have to invest in a mill, it's next door, etc. Obviously, we're shooting for the stars. If we end up having 1.5 or 2 million ounces, yes, the neighbor will definitely be interested, we believe. but I also believe that other suitors will be interested.
That brings a question up that I wanted to ask you, and that what kind of shareholders do you have? Because, of course, I believe that most people in the gold business think gold's going higher. So obviously, the neighbor, you're right, would 500,000 ounces would look nice in the mill or any other greater amount. But if you could just tell our viewers what kind of shareholder structure you have at this point.
The shareholder structure, 40% or close to of it is held by the management and insiders. And if you add on the strategic investor that we brought on this summer with 9.9%, which is Luso Global Mining, a subsidiary of 𝘂𝗏𝗦𝗀𝗃, that in number goes up to 50% or close to. So the stock is tightly held, and then we've got a couple of financial institutions, one from Switzerland, one from Vancouver, who are also considerable shareholders. The rest is all high net worth individuals and the smaller shareholders. These guys are very patient. They're not going anywhere. They're not there to unload the stock from day one to day two. Our guys see the strategy that we've put forward initially when we started the company, and they believe in it. But having 𝘂𝗏 on board now also gives us a much wider slate of options at the table if we wanted to take that project further down the road in order to maximize shareholder return. We feel we're kind of a different junior, a different animal because of this partner. 𝘂𝗏 is one of the top 15 EPC companies in Europe, has been in Africa for over 70 years, is a mine operator in 9 mines in 8 countries in Africa. They have a very strong presence in 𝘂𝗏𝗹𝗶. They are the operator for 2 gold mines there. One that's operated by Endeavour Mining and the other one by Fortuna Minerals. They see us as their gold portfolio company. These are guys that we can rely on in terms of expertise, capital as well, going down the road, depending on the strategic play we want to do.
Which sounds great. That gives you a couple of options, doesn't it? Obviously, if it's depending on the size of the project, how it works out, you can either deal with the neighbor or deal with the big guy. So we'll see what happens. And as a small shareholders, we're really happy to hear that and that it's run that way. You'd also mentioned the government and the fact that you're building the base camp and that. Can you just say a little bit about the people in the area?
Definitely. I've been going there for the last 10 years. The relationship with the people is fantastic. They receive you with open arms. They're interested in what you're doing. Kermit itself is located within certain communities, but the main core of our activity is between a couple of communities. So what we've done over the years, the labor force, we've hired half and half from each of these 2 communities so that we share the pie with them. The other thing is, in the course of the exploration program, obviously we are in a forest, but a lot of times in these forests there are different types of plantations. Obviously you're going to damage some of the plantations, but the Ministry of Agriculture has a program in place whereby you call them in beforehand. You say, well, here's what I'm going to do in terms of operations and my drill pads and so on. I'm going to damage this and that. So they evaluate first and foremost the state of the plantation, quality. They make an assessment of what would be a normal payout based on a grid established by the government. So we have no say at all in that process. It is all done by the government. And at the end of the day, they tell us, they come up with the number and they say, you need to pay this to this planter, that planter, and so on. To date, we've had 3 check signing events where we've compensated planters for the damaging of some partially of their plantation. And most of the money that we've paid out to these people represent a much more considerable amount of what they generate on an annual basis from the crop itself. So it's a windfall. The other thing that we've done lately, as of no later than October, we organized the first Kobo Cup. And the Kobo Cup, I mean a soccer game between the town of 𝘂𝗏 and the town of 𝗏𝗶𝘀. And before I talk about that, I want people to know that the name Kobo comes from the first two letters of the town of 𝘂𝗏, K-O, and the first two letters of the town of 𝗏𝗶𝘀, B-O. We devised it, and they're very happy and proud to have found that out. So what we did, we bought jerseys for the teams on both sides. We organized the game under the auspices of the sous-préfet, the regional director, the chiefs of villages, and the notables and the population. So it was a great event. We will have to buy jerseys for a third town for next year, and we're going to have a round robin. So, so they expect us to do this on an annual basis, and we have no problems doing it on an annual basis. It was a great event, and they were very thankful for us for doing that for them.
That's incredible. It's really good that you get out there and work with the community because, of course, they're going to work with you too if they're respected. And obviously, you've shown that you do respect them. And thinking of that and getting the message out, do you have any upcoming events that you'll be attending in that and trying to get the word out to a broader base of shareholders?
Definitely, the government of Côte d'Ivoire is hosting its first mineral extraction conference at the end of this month. So the focus is going to be on hydrocarbons as well as exploration within the country, different metals. So we're going to be attending that. The conference is going to be hosted by the president of the country himself, and we've been invited by the Minister of Mines. There will be some panels where they're going to be presenting their new thoughts on the rejuvenation of the mining code. They're going to be asking, obviously, our opinion and thoughts on those aspects. So we intend to have some discussions with them on those in order to improve the situation. They've done very well over the years. The code was amended back in 2014 in order to allow foreign capital to come in more than previously what they had. From that moment on to today, 10 years forward, they've increased by more than 100% their gold production during that period. So there are a lot of Canadian companies, Australian and British companies in country. Major players are there. There were major takeouts during that period as well. It's a very fertile ground. We're happy to be part of it. The other thing I can say is that the government in the last couple of years has made very good decisions in terms of investments in the education, investment in health program. They've installed a minimal health program for its citizens. They're trying to improve on the electrification of the country. They've invested a lot of money in terms of road infrastructure. If you had been going there back in 2014, 15, and 16, and you were to go there today, you would see a world of a difference in terms of accessibility and quality of roads. So they've made the right decisions going forward, and I think that if they continue in that venue, Côte d'Ivoire will be a successful country, and it will rise up the GDP of the country and obviously the wealth of its citizens, because 75% of the population there is under 35. Young guys and young women want to find work, and they're happy to work with you. They're eager to work with you and learn English as well. So the workforce is quite good for us. We have no problems on that aspect.
Well, that's really important, obviously, going forward, that you can get along with the local community, governments, and the reward of that, which comes from people working hard and also participating as stakeholders in the entire project, which I'm glad that we're shareholders in it because it sounds exciting. We'd also like to come and have a look at it. But let me just ask you this one to close off with. What do you think is, as shareholders, we should expect as the next advancements for Kobo going forward in the next little while?
Over the next quarter or so, obviously, we're going to complete the drill program, the 10,000 meter. We're going to release news as we go in terms of the drilling results. So there's going to be a continual fleshing out of the results on that aspect. Early in 2025, we should be assessing the success of the drill program and probably going back to market in order to raise the funds to do that 40 to 60,000 meter drill program. The other thing is we're commencing our exploration program on the other permit that we have in the east of the country. That's 300 square kilometers. So that's quite a work to be done there. We have two other pending applications nearby for another almost 700 square kilometers. We're looking at different other opportunities in country as well as outside the country. So the arrival of Mota and the capital raise that we were successful in completing this summer has changed the picture for Kobo, has really given us a lot of fuel and wings.
Calling all savvy investors in mining and resources, seeking the inside track on Kobo Resources? Look no further than minestalkers.com for cutting-edge knowledge and real-time stock updates. Visit for the insights and stay for the gains. Seize the opportunity and explore the magic at minestalkers.com. Uncover new investment possibilities today. Don't forget to hit the bell below to subscribe and then like and share this video. Let's get the word out there.